So this is old. This is a Apple School, or was Apple School. It didn't last for very long. This picture is from 1994. It's about the oldest clear picture I can find. You can see we got. This was like the main building up here, and then there was this. This is the class I was in when I got kidnapped. I'm going to go into that in a second here. Let me show you a clearer picture from. This is from 2003, so you can get a better idea of what the campus looked like. So you would come up over on this street. I think it was Russell Avenue. What is that, Russell? Yeah. So you come up on Russell and you go up this hill. And funny, there was actually, if you were to, right at the bottom of this hill here, there's a private property right there. And I'm sure it's probably been moved by now, but there was a grave. There was like a grave, like right there at the end of the street. There was a grave, like a dead body. I think it was just one, like somebody had been buried in their yard, but there was like an actual dead grave right there. So if you walk by this poor dead grave and then you go up this hill. So this was the parking lot here. It was just a dirt parking lot back in the day. It was just a dirt parking lot. They had another field over here where we used to go fly kites and shit. But this was the main building here. I was in this classroom here when I got kidnapped. And basically what this kid did was he tricked me into hiding out in the play equipment that was outside this classroom here. I'm pretty sure it was this class. It may have been this one, but I'm pretty sure it was this one. So there was a bunch of play equipment out there. He tricked me into hiding. He had been working on me for several months. He tricked me into hiding in the play equipment until everybody went inside. And then he took me off campus. You know, he tricked me into running away. They say I ran away, but no, that was kidnapping. That's a 12-year-old boy kidnapping a 7-year-old boy for immoral purposes. That's what it was, and the Scientologists knew that, and they covered it up. Devonna Lewis covered it up. Jeff Mintz covered it up. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm going to kind of get into the route that this kid took me on when he kidnapped me. I'm going to be right back here. Hold on. So when this kid, Rory, was messing with me, he would take me up to... So this is Apple School here. That's Franklin, I think. What is that? Oh, no, that's Los Feliz. Los Feliz there, I think. Come on. No, that's Franklin. Okay. So that's Franklin Avenue. When this kid would mess with me, he would take me to either this house, or this house. One of those three houses he knew the person, he was going into that house and getting stuff, so... one of those three houses that had somebody that was molesting him. I don't think he lived. So after he tricked me into hiding in the play equipment and everybody went inside, then he took me up this hill here to this road, Franklin, and then we started a journey. Okay, so we started over here. He took me down Franklin. He took me up this way to Griffith Park. Where is Griffith Park? Oh, way over there. Yeah, he took me over there to Griffith Park. Shit. Anyways, yeah, he took me up into Griffith Park. He didn't do anything. We were just wandering around, and we went to a specific spot, and he waited for somebody somewhere in the less used parts of the park. So he took me up to a specific area of the park to meet somebody, and that's where he met up with an old hunchback guy. And I'm pretty sure it was L. Ron Hubbard in disguise, because I heard he used to go out and do stuff like that in the streets. So this was right around the time of the FBI raids, and anyway, so this kid took me up to Griffith Park. Took me up here, Griffith Park. It's not going to focus. Okay. And we met up with this guy. And then he took me... They made a specific beeline for this specific area here. And what do you think's over here? They took me right to this area. And they had a little spot set up under the freeway, somewhere in this area, under a bridge. I think it might have been over more that way, but they had a spot set up already This was all planned. They had a spot set up under the freeway they had electricity, they had beds, blankets, everything was all set up. It was like a little campsite they had set up somewhere along here in this freeway. So, yeah, and then they slept together all night. They tried to get me to come sleep with them because it was cold, and they only gave me one thin blanket, and I didn't do it because I kind of already knew, but, and I actually think I've slept at some point. He might have drugged me or something, but yeah, I don't think I could have slept normally under a freeway bridge next to the 101 freeway in Hollywood. I'm a light sleeper. It wouldn't have happened. But yeah, so then in the morning they took me and they went somewhere down into this area. We went pretty far. They went down. Yeah, somewhere in this area. I don't even remember. We were just wandering the streets. They wanted to make sure I didn't know where I was. We ended up in a donut shop somewhere down in this area. Way down. They headed south into the shitty parts of LA. And that's where I said, well, I need to call my mother. She's going to be worried about me. And I insisted on it. So I said, can I have they were buying donuts. I said, can I have a dime to call my mother from that payphone right there to tell her I'm okay? She's going to be worried about me. And so the old man gave me a dime, and I turned around. I went to the payphone to call my mother, and boom, they were gone. They disappeared. Bye-bye. And yeah, Rory turned up, I think, 3 days later. So he had a little adventure. He had stolen about $100 from his parents, and he told me to go in my mom's purse and take all the money out of there. But me being a good kid, I was like, I'm not going to take all her money. I just took one $20 bill, and actually I think that's all she had. But yeah, so I got $20. He took 100, and then of course the old hunchback man got the money. Rory handed it right over to him. So yeah. Anyways, that's how and then so they told the cops came and got me, and that's kind of the last I remember, and nobody ever talked to me about it again, but they told the cops that I had run away. Yep. My mom's document right here. And started at Apple School, 76. Went to Delphi. That's a whole nother nightmare. Hamas tunnel rabbit hole. That's what I call Scientology now. Scientology is a rabbit hole, but it's the Hamas terror tunnel of rabbit holes. So yeah, but on 13 October they said I ran away. No, I was kidnapped by a 12-year-old boy who was grooming me and doing shit. And so since she knew about it, she took me out of school because he came back, and they're like, yeah, he's gonna be back. They're all gonna be back in school. And so yeah, and then out of the frying pan into the fire. Got these two fucking assholes covering shit up. And they knew exactly what happened. They covered that shit up. Oh, and then, of course, a month later, they're like, hey, what's wrong with this kid? He's acting out. He's destroying things. He's having temper tantrums. We can't handle him. Scientology is not working. It's not working. But we're going to keep doing it.